This week on Focus Asia and the sweet smell of success, how Sri Lankan entrepreneurs are turning elephant dung into paper.
Still to come, how one Sri Lankan business is ensuring elephant waste doesn't go to waste. Asia's elephant population is in trouble. A century ago, hundreds of thousands of them roamed throughout the region. Today, fewer than 16,000 remain, driven towards extinction by deforestation and poaching. It's becoming a struggle for survival between wild pachyderms and poor farmers. But entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka may have found a way to turn a creature some consider a menace into a marketable commodity. And as Joe Kynes explains, the answer is right under their noses.
Gentle giants march out for a bath at Sri Lanka's most popular spot for elephant watching. But the Pinnawala Elephant Orphanage also provides a grim reminder of how badly Sri Lanka's pachyderms have fared since the days when warlords and kings jealously guarded them. Since colonial rule of the late 18th century, they've been in steady decline, becoming beasts of burden, targets for sport hunting, and victims of ethnic war. Their biggest threat, however, is from Sri Lanka's farmers.
Well, what's happened in Sri Lanka over the years is that the population has increased. Population increased quite rapidly at certain times, and as a result, the demand for land, for agriculture, for settlement has increased, and the natural course of action was to clear the jungles and use those for settlement and agriculture, and the elephant's habitat not only got reduced, it got fragmented.
The loss of natural food and water supplies has put man and beast in closer contact, leading to violent encounters that kill an average of 120 elephants and 60 humans each year. A wild elephant's best hope for survival has been to get a job. Captured elephants are trained for logging and farm work, the very industries that destroy their habitat. Some find their way to the travel industry as attractions, or as beasts of burden for an ecotourist safari. But those concerned about the long-term survival of Sri Lanka's elephant population say a more grassroots approach is needed.
Obviously, there's this human-elephant conflict in Sri Lanka, and what we have to do is we have to find a balance for both sides. I know the people have encroached into the elephants' land, all that, but that's through development. So what kind of development are we going to do? Are we going to develop those areas and destroy the environment, or retain the environment that we have and utilize the natural resources we have? So that's where the elephant dung comes in.
That's right, elephant dung. The salvation of Sri Lanka's ancient steeds of war could come from turning pachyderm stool into paper stationery.
Actually, it has a character of its own. It has a texture and a variety that we can offer the customer that is not matchable in other ways. For example, the elephant's diet itself makes the texture and the color of the paper different.
But for most customers, the first concern is, does the finished product smell like the raw material?
Yeah, I reckon it's great. Yeah. It doesn't smell.
I think it'd be a subtle present to somebody you don't like.
It's recycled paper. I'm sure they bleach it, and it looks like any other paper, so it's fine.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
After all, what they eat is trees, so it's the same fiber.
Now, obviously, television doesn't allow you to experience the sense of smell, so you'll have to take my word for it. Elephant dung just doesn't smell that bad. So when researchers found out that pachyderms like Somali here were basically walking, moving paper factories, a new way to protect this species was born.
Some are averse to it, but the majority, like I said, are friendly towards it. They say, oh wow, this is our elephant dung, cannot be. How come it's so fine? and it sells by itself.
An accountant by training, Thusita Ranasinghe never expected to be running a company that turns dung into dollars. But in less than a year, his experiment grew into an enterprise, employing 80 people and shipping orders as far away as Japan, Australia, Europe, and the United States. The biggest customers are visitors who pay cold, hard cash for a product made from something that was once warm and steaming. It's a success story Ranasinghe hopes will benefit Sri Lanka's endangered elephants.
It is practical at a grassroots level. To start off with, you got to first address the economic needs of the people. Through that, you got to add value to the elephant in the environment, give them an incentive to keep the elephant as an economic asset and not to shoot it as a beast that threatens their livelihood.
Their potential value becomes clear even in a small herd. A half-dozen elephants produce a ton of raw material every day. Sterilized and processed, it can make 120 of these huge sheets of paper. Those in turn are fashioned into notebooks, cards, badges, boxes, photo albums. Conservationists see it as a win-win situation for man and beast.
It works directly with conservation, and it gives a lot of emphasis towards elephants, because right now the elephants are, especially the Asian elephant in the jungles, are categorized as a pest, and now we are adding value to this pest. We can use them.
Those who have studied the elephant's battle with man give the poo to profit idea high marks for originality. But conservationists fear such efforts are doomed without a more coordinated approach aimed at nurturing a new elephant-based industry.
There are many ways that one can solve this problem, but it needs certain decisions. It needs decisions at a political level, which is not easy to come by, because the politician is interested more in votes from humans rather than the conservation of animals and elephants.
Jayawardena also warns that a viable paper mill needs a captive herd, so it wouldn't offer much help for the long-term survival of elephants in the wild. But the dung paper makers of Sri Lanka insist their plans are as valuable as the paper they're printed on.
So we would like to plant these units as a buffer between the elephant and the jungle, add economic value to the elephant, give people permanent employment, convert dung to dollars, and create happiness all around.
The company also hopes other Sri Lankans will at least follow their waste not, want not example and find new ways to share the land with their animal neighbors.